Hello! It's Miss Hans. It's not a fox. And I am here to teach you today. Hi! It's me. Welcome back to art. Ladies and gentlemen, today, as you may have guessed, we are going to make some super cute fox art. And I can't wait to make some stuff with you. So as you can see right here on my screen, I've got a beautiful illustration of a little red fox in the woods in wintertime. And that's what has inspired our next art project. We are going to make these, a beautiful fox in the snow with some birch trees. So ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what you're going to need. And while you're getting your stuff, I can tell you some really cool facts about foxes. First of all, you're going to need scissors, pencil, a Sharpie, and some crayons. Oh, and don't forget your piece of paper too. We're using just half of a piece of paper today. So if you already have a half sheet of paper, you can use that. You don't have to cut your paper today. So while you're getting your scissors, pencil, Sharpie, and crayons and paper out, let me tell you about some foxes. I bet you're wondering, what does a fox say? But let me tell you, did you know they make more than 40 different sounds? Oh my gosh, it's like they have their own language. They live underground. That protects them from their predators like coyotes. They're more like cats than they are like dogs. They have the same type of like vertical pupil that cats have, and they're nocturnal like cats. That means they hunt at nighttime, not daytime. They're very smelly. They hunt alone. They're solitary, so they kind of chill by themselves. After they have pups or little babies, the babies stay with them.
Hello, it's so good to
oh my
see
gosh.
you.
Miss Hans'
Happy
voice
Art
is coming
Day
from somewhere
and,
else.
welcome back.
Haha. That's a
Today
different
we're
video that I just finished. Okay, sorry about that. How funny. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to our fox. They're also very playful. So that's kind of fun, just like you weirdos, very playful. And there's two kinds of foxes. There's red foxes and there's gray foxes that are most common in the United States. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Let's make some art. Let's make these little foxies. Let me make myself smaller. Shrinking. Make me this big. How about? All right. So first off, boys and girls, let's get our supplies set up. We're going to start with the paper and the scissors. If you need to cut this in half, maybe you already have a half sheet, but if you don't, let's cut this in half. So make sure it's the long way. Then fold it in half. Press on that crease. Open it back up. And now we can see where the halfway mark is. To cut it in half. I suppose if you wanted to not cut it, no, we should cut it in half because otherwise it's too big, too many details to color in. All right, so now we're going to start by drawing our fox. I would actually start with a pencil, and it might be nice to practice first, especially because we've never drawn a fox together before. Maybe you have in your spare time, but it's nice to practice things before we do them for our final one. So let's make this side the back of our paper and practice a fox a couple times before we make our final one. Let's put it maybe right here so we can kind of see both at a time. So this is just practice on the back of our paper with our pencil. Let's start with the line for the back of the fox. A long line for the back. Then for the head, we see it goes up, down, over, up, down. We're just going to do that back of the neck, ear, top of the head, ear. Then we'll add that front face. So let's start on the back. We're going to go straight up, go down for that first ear, cross for the top of the head, give them another ear here, and then stop. Don't bring that back down. Now we're going to do the snout, which is kind of like a sideways V. It slants out, then slants down. So let's start on that ear. We're going to slant out and slant back down. That line here should just be floating. Don't connect it back to the body. That line is just floating. Now we're going to bring that line down, kind of curve in and down. We'll bounce back up for one foot, bounce down for the other foot. So we've got two. Then we'll do the straight across belly and two legs in the back that then come up to connect to the tail. So let's go across for the belly, down, up, and go towards the top line, but don't connect it yet. Don't connect it because we need to give it a tail. Don't worry if your feet are a little different than each other or things are a little crooked. This is just practice. Now for the tail, we're going to make it round and then come to a point, round and then come to a point. So that's how we make our fox. If you want to add the details, it's a little zigzag line to make that white tip, a little eye here, and a little nose right there. Pause the video and rewind if you want to practice again before we do our final one. The more practice, the better, I always say. But if you're ready to move on, let's do that now. Flip over to the front, and we're going to start with our fox. So make sure the fox is not right in the middle of the paper. It's a little bit down, kind of down. And it's not right in the very middle this way. It's a little to the side. I'm going to do this with my Sharpie, but if you'd like to do it with your pencil first and then go over your lines in Sharpie later, that's just fine too. So let's start with that back line that we did before. Go up, down, over, up, down for the ears. I'll zoom in so you can see this better. We're going to go out and back in for the pointy nose. Curve, go down pretty far, back up, down, back up for the front two legs. Then we're going to go across for the belly, and then two more legs, down, back up, down, back up. Keep going up. Don't connect it to the little booty yet because we need to squeeze the tail in there. So that tail curves out into a point, out into a point. Ooh, that was a really big tail on this one. Awesome. So that's the beginning of our picture. We can add those little details by making a zigzag across the tip of that little tail. We'll also give him an eye, or her an eye, and a little black nose, just like that. Now that the fox is done, you guys, this is my favorite part of the picture. I know the fox should be my favorite part, but it's actually the trees because I feel like the trees are what give this picture a lot of depth. Remember, when we talk about landscapes, depth means that some things look like they're very close and some things look like they're very far. Things that are close are big and they're towards the bottom of the edge of the picture, and things that are far away are smaller and they're a little higher up on the picture. So that's how we're going to make our trees, to really make like this forest look like it goes deep, deep into the woods. So our biggest trees, the ones right in front, will start near the bottom edge of the picture, and they'll be thicker, they'll be bigger, wider trunks, so big on the bottom. The trees that are farther away will be higher up on the paper, and they'll be skinnier. That will make them look like they're actually far away. So let's start with a big tree down in the foreground. I'm going to start with a little wavy line so it looks like it's buried in snow at the trunk, and then go straight up. If your line is a little wobbly, that's a good thing. Tree trunks are not perfectly straight like they were made in a factory. No, they're a little wobbly. Now let's make another tree trunk maybe over here. I'm going to overlap it with my fox's face. So once I hit that face, I should stop, hop over, and keep going straight up. There, so we've got two trees now in the foreground, big and near the bottom edge of our paper. Now let's go to the middle ground, about halfway up our paper, start making trees that are a little bit skinnier. So maybe right here, when I add the second line on this tree, oop, there's the bell, school's out. No, just kidding, it's not out, we're still going. This tree's a little skinnier now than the ones in the foreground. If I want to make a tree that looks like it's really far away, I can move it a little higher up on the paper and make it really skinny, scrawny, and then it will look far away. Maybe put one back here too. This is my far, far away voice. Oh, I'm so far. All right, beautiful. So now we've got our trees, but let's give them some texture. Birch trees have beautiful stripes on them. Maybe you have a birch tree in your yard or in the park you like to go to. To make those lines on the birch tree, to make that texture, I'm going to make some stripes. They just don't go all the way across. These are also horizontal. That means that they are flat lines. They are not vertical, they are horizontal. Let's do that on all the trees. If the tree is smaller because it's farther away, then the lines on it should be smaller too. Just little tiny, little baby far away lines. Here we go. Zoom out so you can actually see what I'm doing. Gorgeous. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, if you were drawing with pencil because you wanted to be able to erase any mistakes, take your Sharpie, pause the video, and go over all your lines with your Sharpie now so that they're black. Then we're gonna move on to the crayon portion of the video. I love crayons, they are beautiful. We're gonna do some color blending and some color shading today to make this picture look more realistic. Let's start with the fox. And for the fox, we know that they're red, but it's always fun to mix colors. So let's start with a red crayon. Make sure it's not red violet. That always tricks me. Red violet is more pinkish. I want just like straight up red. Do you guys get tricked by that? That red violet, tricky, tricky. So I'm gonna do a layer of red. I'm not pressing super hard, but I'm also not pressing super light. Kind of medium pressure. Be careful, stay inside the lines. Don't leave any empty spots. The whole thing except the tip. Now let's get an orange out. You might have a bright orange or a red orange or a scarlet. Any kind of orange will do to overlap with the red. I'm actually gonna do, I want a lighter orange. Just straight up orange, okay. So I'm gonna add that right on top of the red. And then they will blend, and it will be so pretty. It will be a gorgeous little fox. I wonder if any other teachers can hear me singing right now, and they're thinking, what is Miss Hans doing in there? Probably being weird like she always is. That's why you like me, right? Because I'm a total goofball. That's why I like you, because y'all are total goofballs. That's right, you heard me. You heard it here first, folks. You're weird. And that's why I like you. All right, so now we're gonna get out our gray and we're gonna add some beautiful shading. So we did some color blending on the fox between two colors. Now we're gonna do some shading on the trees. When you give something a shadow, it makes it look more 3D. Things that are flat are 2D, but things that are 3D, you can see from like all around. Now I know our picture is 2D, it's flat. It's not like we can actually pick this fox up and it's like real in 3D, but artists use shading or shadows to make their artwork look more 3D and realistic, even if it is still 2D. So let's take our gray crayon and along one side of the trees, let's see, I'm gonna do it on the, because this one I did the shadows a little wrong, so I'm gonna get it out of the way. On the left side of every tree, the left side, if you make this shape, it should make an L. That's the left side. We're gonna add a dark shadow. Now that line is thick. I'm not just doing like one skinny line like that. Nope. I'm going back and forth to make a thick, dark gray line along the left side of this tree. And after I've made a dark line, now I'm gonna go right next to it and make a slightly lighter line. So it looks like it's fading, kind of from dark to light. The rest of the tree, I will just leave plain white. Add a little bit more gray on this half. There we go. Yeah, so the right side now stays white. So let's do that on each tree. Dark, left edge, fading a little bit to light gray in the middle, and then leave the other side white. If a tree is so skinny that you end up just coloring the whole thing gray, that's totally fine, folks. That's totally fine. It's my Minnesotan accent. That's totally fine. Ooh, is it already looking 3D to you guys? It's looking 3D to me. Whoop, watch out for the little fox nose when you get to that point. All right. Okay, so now we see that the right side of the tree is light and the left side of the tree is dark. That must mean that whatever light is happening in our picture, whether it's sunlight from the fading sun or moonlight, it's hitting this side of the tree, and then the other side of the tree is in the shadow. That means coming out from behind each tree, we should also be adding a shadow on the ground. So let's get out our light blue crayons. This one is called cerulean. That is a classic blue color. And going diagonal from behind each tree, I'm going to make a shadow that goes right off the edge of the page. So let's start with this first one down here. I'm imagining that the light is coming from this way, so the shadow is going out from the back of the tree, just very lightly, a diagonal shadow. I'm going to do that on this one as well. And imagine that this shadow keeps going behind this tree and comes out on the other side. Nice long shadow on these trees. I'll zoom out so you guys can see a little bit better. Go behind this tree and keep going right off the edge. All the shadows should be kind of slanted the same way. Don't have some shadows pointing down and some going up. All the shadows should be parallel, all going the same direction, stretching across the snow. Keep it going till it goes right off the edge of the page. Maybe you'll even hit the fox. Keep that going behind the fox. Very lightly, so lightly you can hardly see it. All right. I chose blue for the shadow. You might be wondering why I chose blue. So it looks kind of frosty and cold on that snow. Now for the very last detail on these beautiful little red foxes, we're going to give them some footprints in the snow. I'm going to put one behind its feet. And I'm going to keep those footprints going behind the tree right off the edge of the paper. So it looks like he just walked from behind the tree like that. If you want to make a different path, like maybe it came down from up here and then arrived at this spot, you could make any path you want. You could even make it go like winding through all the trees. Just make sure that as those footsteps get farther away, they should get smaller and smaller and smaller in the background. So ladies and gentlemen, how did your fox turn out? I want to see it. Please send me a picture on Seesaw. I can't wait to see what you've created, and I hope that I get to see it soon. Until next time, have a great day.